In this video, we'll introduce you to a new digital archive you can find on archiveit.com. My name is Nina Darlington. I'm a member of San Jose State University's Info 284 digital curation class. My colleagues and I are collectively known as Group 4. Haley Soust, Caitlin Sterick, Elizabeth Welch, and I created an archive of small town murals in Colorado and Utah that were documented on the web. Because we live in these states, we've noticed more and more murals in our small towns. So we wanted to capture some of these websites before they're no longer available on the web. They say so much about these small towns. This kind of public art speaks to a community's history, their values, and shared stories. We archived 9 websites of various kinds, including blogs, official state transportation departments, online newspapers, and nonprofit organizations. As you can see from this snapshot, our collection ended up being just over 6 gigabytes with a whopping 52,000 documents. I think we were all surprised at just how many individual documents make up a website and how many we were able to capture and in some cases not capture. So let's take a quick tour of the archive. To get to archiveit.org, just type that into your browser, and I've done that here. Here's the home page for Archiveit, and lots of access points for this collection, but I'll just type in murals. I've done that here, and here's what you get. So we happen to be number 2 on this page, Small Town Murals of Colorado and Utah. And I've already opened that page here. So this is what you'll see when you navigate to that digital collection. And as you can see, there are 11 sites. We'll talk about what happened with each of those sites. But all of them have lots of access points within each of the sites and lots of ways to filter this collection on the side here. Let's scroll down and take a look at this agriculture site. If you click on this link, it'll take you to, hold on a second here. It'll take you to this page in the archive. Now we only saved this once, but if it had been saved multiple times, you could click on any of them. But here we'll go to November 15th. When you do that, you come up to this page, and you know that you're in the archived collection because it says so up at the top. It says when it was archived and who did the archive. And then you can read the article itself. This happens to be from Successful Farming and about a mural in eastern Colorado. So you can see the whole page as well as some more news. In this particular site, we wanted to capture the main menu at the top. So let's just take a quick look here at commodity prices. Here's commodity prices on November 15th. You can see lean hogs, live cattle, soybeans, that kind of thing. So there's that kind of information in each one of these drop-down menus. So that was a quick tour of the archive. In the following slides, my colleagues will discuss our successes, the ways we work together, our challenges, and what we learned from creating this curated collection. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Nina. As a team, we communicated primarily through email and held Zoom meetings throughout the project. We also created Google Docs to keep notes in so that everyone had access to different aspects of the project. Our metadata was created by following the guidelines for the project, so the only field that we needed to make a decision on was the subject field. We chose Library of Congress subject headings as our controlled vocabulary. Our topic being murals in small towns required us not to only have subject headings on murals, art, and artists, but on places as well. We felt that Library of Congress subject headings suited our needs. We had varying results with our sites. Some were very easy to archive and some were not. We tried different types of crawls to see what would work and what didn't. Here are some examples of some of our successes. The first is an article titled West Jordan Mural Controversy. There really isn't much to say about this one other than it was very well behaved. We went with a standard plus crawl for this site because standard crawls did not capture everything that we wanted. Standard plus captured the text and images of the page itself along with the author page. The standard plus crawl ended up being our standard crawl for sites that did not need a lot of attention. The page from agriculture.com gave us a little more to work with. This page had more dynamic components than the West Jordan page. There were some drop-down menus that we wanted to include, which gave us some problems. We started out with standard crawls and expanded until we found a combination that captured everything that we wanted. The one page plus with a 3-day time limit and ignoring robots.txt finally captured not only the images and text, but the dynamic content as well. The Durango page was one of the most difficult successes. This, like the agriculture.com page, was a learning experience. This site also had a lot of dynamic components. Particularly, there was a carousel of photos and videos. After several crawls with varying degrees of success and failure, we found that standard plus and ignoring robots.txt with a 3-day time limit gave us the best results, but it still did not capture everything. All of the images were captured, but some of the videos were not. In one case, the video captured does not match the link. We're not sure what happened there. So those were some of our successes, and now I'll hand this over to Haley for our much more interesting failures.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. So unfortunately, not everything went according to plan. We started out with 11 total seed sites. Out of those 11, there were 2 sites that we just could not get to work. Those 2 were medium.com and Instagram. So first, medium.com. This site looked simple enough. It was basically just a list of images showing various Fort Collins murals, each of those with a short accompanying text description. But the simplicity of the site proved to be a little deceptive. The main issue with this site was that we could not get the images to show up in the captures. First, we tried every seed type in multiple test crawls. No luck, no images. Next, we tried enabling the ignore robots.txt rule and combining the seed scope rule with different seed types, but we still couldn't get the images to load. Finally, we tried running a few test crawls using Browsler, which is an experimental crawler recommended by Archive.it if it seems like dynamic elements were not captured in your standard crawl, or if you're seeing a number of error pages when viewing results in Wayback. So these browser crawls weren't successful either. As the site was primarily made up of images, not having the images show up kind of defeated the purpose of archiving the site. So we decided not to use it in the final collection. We thought that the failure to capture the site's images may be related to their somewhat dynamic nature. On the original site, when you click on the images, they would get larger and fill the entire screen. So there was something going on dynamically there. Archive.it did provide some guidance about archiving medium seed sites in their help center, but it really wasn't very helpful toward figuring out exactly what was going wrong trying to capture this site for us. Archive.it said that there are no specific scoping rules necessary for medium.com seeds, but that some medium seeds may have playback issues where the content was captured but is not able to fully replay. It looks like Archive.it is still working on a long-term development fix for these issues. For the second site that didn't work, we thought it would be cool to include a social media site, as social media is such a big part of the modern web. So we found a really awesome Instagram site with lots of great images of Colorado murals. But that one, unfortunately, ended up giving us a lot of trouble too. So first, we followed the Archive.it instructions for capturing social media sites and Instagram seeds. We included specific user URLs followed by a slash at the end, used standard seed type, and enabled the ignore robots.txt rule at the seed level. but we couldn't capture the results. Because these instructions didn't work, we tried the next step recommended by Archive.it using Browser. So we got Browser installed all right, but the first test crawl we did with it came back with an error message, HTTP error 429, meaning that there were too many requests hitting the server within a certain time frame. So finally, last step, we submitted a support ticket to Archive.it. They sent back a response saying that this error was something that they had seen before with Instagram tag seeds, and that they were looking into it. They didn't have any specific recommendations on what we could do, so we just decided to abandon the site. And next, Caitlin is going to discuss some of the overall takeaways of the project.
Thank you, Haley. Our first major takeaway from this project was that the inconsistencies in web page architecture, including standards and incorporated file types, can make archiving very difficult, if not impossible. Even with all the resources at an archivist's disposal, some content is still unable to be captured with any great success. Choosing a collection is also an important and involved process. Limiting the scope of a collection so as not to lose its focus and purpose has to be balanced with making sure the scope is large enough to create a useful and viable collection. We experienced this firsthand when we were trying to define our own collection. Murals in general was far too broad a topic for such a small collection, which led us to limit geographically and then refine it further to include only rural areas. Digital archiving is a detailed process which requires both experience and technical knowledge. With our limited time and prior knowledge, there was a steep learning curve using and familiarizing ourselves with the features and limitations of the Archive.it program. There were many unforeseen variables that impeded our ability to archive all the sites we wanted or capture the breadth of information we would have liked. Copyright issues were another obstacle we encountered. The group consensus early on was that none of us knew as much about copyright as we would like. We decided to at least attempt to contact administrators for all the sites we wanted to use, receiving permission from about half the sites we contacted and no response from the rest. Since our project is solely for academic purposes, we're likely covered under fair use, so we included all the sites in our collection, even if we didn't hear back. Ultimately, this project taught us a lot about what we don't know and what we need to learn to be adept at digital archiving, and the process, though bumpy, was an incredibly invaluable experience. Thank you for watching.